Hi, Peter Brock here from BRE, and I wanted to give you a little bit of my early history on how I got involved in the great game of automotive design and racing, because I started with my first job working at General Motors when I was 19 years old. Timing was perfect for me because I got there. I'd always wanted to work for GM because they were building the Corvette at that time, which was the only American sports car going at that time. This is before I worked for Shelby in the Cobra program. And it was really an exciting thing because GM was really leading the way in the Corvettes. But interestingly enough, if you want to know the whole inside story on Corvettes, it was really a failure in terms of sales at the beginning. As exciting as the car was at the beginning, in terms of sales, it was being really shot down by the T-Bird, which was a far more practical car for most people in the American market because it was steel. It had a heater in it, had air conditioning, comfortable 2 seats, all the things that the early Corvettes weren't. And it wasn't until Ed Cole, who was the vice president of GM, created the V8 engine and put it in the Corvette that whole thing changed. But interestingly enough, the sales were so bad on that first series of cars that GM management actually killed off the entire Corvette program. And if it hadn't have been for Bill Mitchell, who was the director of styling at that time, and a very, very powerful guy within GM management, we wouldn't have Corvettes today. So this is the whole inside story because I was there at the beginning and worked very closely under Bill Mitchell, who directed the design of that car. And I saw it created and saw it become a success. So what's really interesting about this whole program is that, you know, we can see here that Harley Earl, who had originally come up with a concept with the Corvette in 1953, it was as much to test the idea of fiberglass as well as to test out the response of the American public to having GM do its own sports car. And as I said, as exciting as it was generally to the media and some people, it wasn't really a very dynamic automobile. But his vision proved correct in the long run. And by the time that Bill Mitchell came in, when Harley Earl was retiring, and took the whole program over. But Bill Mitchell was a guy that loved cars, loved sports cars, loved the Corvette program. As he said, he had gasoline in his veins. And he said, you know, we're not going to let the Corvette die. We're going to redo this project in secret. And I'll share the story with you here because I was there at the very beginning when Bill Mitchell was there and decided that the Corvette was going to come back. He couldn't take that program upstairs to the Chevrolet studios where all the top designers were because it would have been discovered by management and killed off immediately. So I was working as essentially as a beginning designer, 19 years old, down in, today we'd call interim design and advanced concept. He came down to that studio. There were 3 of us in there, young guys, and turned that project over to us to see if we could do it. And as it turned out, I did the sketch here. It was done actually in 1957, November of 57. So you can see there that that's really the 1963 Corvette. So it took 6 years from the time that I designed this car for Bill Mitchell under his direction until it came out. So this collection of sketches of my artwork in here and working on the car, this is the full-size clay model here with my studio head, Bob Reiser. And this is what the car looked like in 1957. So you can see it's very, very close to what finally ended up as the production car. So the whole political thing that was going on between Chevrolet wanting to return with the Corvette program and a management that wanted to kill it off, it was a very complicated political problem within the company, but we slowly got to see it evolve. And it was interesting because Later, Larry Shinoda, who was my good friend, came in with Tony Lapine, another top designer, and completed this design from this standpoint here, which was the basic design that I did, turned it into the production car that we see today as what we know as the C2 Corvette. So that was a great piece of history, and you get a chance to see all of that stuff, including some of the early prototypes that really inspired Bill Mitchell to recreate the Corvette. He'd gone over the Turin show in 1957 and saw all these little streamliners. They were being built by Scaghetti, by Fiat, and all over. It was a big thing that they were building these record cars, but they were all quite similar, that they had a pretty crisp belt line along the middle of the cars, especially the Alfa Romeo Disco Volante, which was a coupe with that same idea, this crisp belt line and a little aerodynamic shape over each wheel. And that gave Bill the confidence to go ahead with that theme, because it had already been successful for a couple of years in Europe. And he came back with a bunch of photographs of all these little streamliners. You can see all of them in here. And we used that theme to develop the new car. So as it went along, and you can see all of my original artwork in here. This is all was directed by Bill Mitchell on how the car actually came to be. And so we got to see so much of this in so many different directions. We started off in one direction, he'd come back and they'll say, I like this, or I don't like that, or whatever. And even into all of the controversy that went over the split window that was so, it was something that created a major problem with Zora Arkus-Duntov, who did not want to have the split window in the car. And it became a major controversy within GM, whether the car was going to continue or not, or whether it was going to have a split window or not, or whether it was even going to continue. So that whole history of how that occurred and how the car came about, technologically improved by Zora, and of course completely changed the whole era of design within General Motors with Bill Mitchell. That's all in this book. There are literally dozens of them out there, but this is the real history. And having lived it and wrote about it, and it's become really one of the most famous books on GM history. I think you'll really enjoy it. We also have a hardcover version of it, and one of the things that really makes it kind of beautiful, you can see here the whole Corvette name is in this hardcover that does not exist in this book here. So if you want the top-end book for your collection, this one here or this one here, either one. So if you have a chance, contact us at bre2.net under books, and you can order the book and get the whole story yourself. And expanding on this a little bit, if you'd like to see even more on my YouTube channel, which is Peter Brock's World, there's a playlist on the book in there, and it covers each chapter in depth on it, so you can really see a lot more, a lot closer, a visual thing on it, and it'll give you a good idea of what's really in the book, a lot more depth on it than I can give you right here. So try it out, and let me know what you think. I'll talk to you later.